Hi everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem and we are continuing on today in Animorphia by Kerby Rosanes, and we're going to do a little bit more work on our nameplate page. Once again, as is the tradition, Pip has just started with a nylabone. I'm sure you can hear her crunching away in the background, but if it causes problems I'll sort the sound levels. So I changed my mind after the last video. I did go and do some more of our flowers, but I haven't done anything that we hadn't discussed and I hadn't demonstrated in the previous video. So you can see here in my pansy type flowers, I stuck with exactly the same technique and finished off that little bunch of flowers. And also down the bottom here, these more kind of daisy type ones, I finished off those because they were all of the same ilk. So that's that's basically it. I did this funny little one as well here. So I thought what we could do today was we could head back up to the top of the picture and do more in these sort of pale pinky colours and try and work our way across here, and we'll see what kind of time we've got left after that and go from there. The other thing as well is I mentioned it in my last video, I'm not actually unwell, I'm just feeling a bit kind of under the weather and my throat's really dry. I'm sure you can hear it. So I'm just going to see how long my throat lasts doing this, but you can be assured I'm not in any pain. And I also have a Lemsip here as well, just to sort of help me along my way. So yeah, it's been really weird. Mr. Jem was unwell about 2 weeks ago and he had sort of flu-y things going on, and I seem to not get any of it, and then I have this a few weeks later. Now bearing in mind I don't come in contact with people very often, I just kind of wonder where I've got it from. Maybe I'm just run down, I don't know. Anyway, so the other thing that I'm doing today as well is I'm actually working on a manual zoom with my camera instead of the autofocus, and I just want to see how it affects this sort of close-up work, because what I've been finding, and you'll have noticed it and I've been struggling with it, is the autofocus seems to just go ballistic when you get really close up to something. So we'll give this a try today and see how we go, and you can let me know in the comments whether it's better or whatever. So just a quick recap on what was going on colour wise up the top here. I have kept my little sheet of paper just as a reminder because it's been a wee while since we've done anything in here. So along the top here, using the Arteza Expert pencils as before, the first colour was Peony. There we go, I forget I've not got autofocus here, so yeah, there's Peony, and we're also using Plum. And finally we have the purple iris as well. So those are the three main colours we're using along the top here. And again, if you remember, we're going for this almost sort of gradient effect top to bottom from pink down to purple. So I had a wee look at this earlier, and there's things like this, and I think I'm going to call those leaves rather than flowers. So I want to start in here and just have a go at these wee buds. Now I'm thinking to myself that these look suspiciously like little ones of this bigger flower, so I'm going to use the same colours, and again, I don't know whether you remember or not, but it was just the peony and the plum that I used for those. So we're going to go with that, and we'll see how we get on. So we'll just make a wee start. So nice light hand, and I'm just going to go over all of these buds with the peony to begin with. Also want something under my hand. Yeah, that feels better. I'm keeping an eye on the monitor here to make sure that everything isn't blurry, but I'm hoping that this is going to be better for close-up work. I do have, it's actually a really good camera lens that I've got. It's a very expensive camera lens, and I think it's actually just too sensitive with the autofocus, so especially when you're working kind of closer up like this. So as I say, we'll see how it goes, and I really appreciate everyone being patient with me with stuff like this, because it really is, it's a huge learning curve for me, not being in any way a photography type person. Okay, so I've got my plum now, and just as I did before, I'm kind of going with Kerby's lines to begin with, you know, his little hatched areas, because that's a really good starting point. And if I think it doesn't look quite right, I can always, you know, like branch out from there. Branch out, that was almost a pun. Never mind. So yeah, let's do this and see how it goes. The danger with pale colours like this is if you do have a lot of light areas, quite often what you've coloured can look unfinished, and that's something that we certainly don't want to be happening. So let's see what we can do with this. Yeah, one of the things with the autofocus that I've been finding the problem is that the autofocus tracks movement. So it's trying to focus in on my hand rather than the actual artwork, and I think that's part of the problem. It's taken me a little while to suss out that that was what was going on, so especially when you're in really close proximity to the page like this. So by putting the manual focus on the actual paper, although my hand is going to be out of focus like this, you can still see what the tip of my pencil's doing because it's down on the paper. So yeah, we can see how that goes, that's all good. Okay, so we're back to our peony now, and let's just start adding in some of this. So I have, recently I have not been filming my videos that far in advance, and that's been for various reasons. One, I was a wee bit behind anyway, but there's been other stuff going on and I've just had to kind of slot them in round about. But I've started to kind of catch up again. Most of you know that I like to have a few in the stable, as it were. Pip and Jock are starting to fight. Can you guys can it, please? Thank you. So, I am filming this before I go away for the weekend, but by the time you see it, I will be back. So I am awaiting the arrival of Mama Jem today. We are trying, this is our third attempt to go up for her balloon flight tomorrow morning, and the weather's looking quite promising, so fingers crossed we can get out and get that done. And then Mr. Jem and I are away to our birthday party that I've talked about, the fancy dress party. So we will be leaving tomorrow afternoon for that as well. So it's quite a busy little weekend this weekend, and it's really unlike me. I've been super sociable these last few weeks, and not gonna lie, secretly looking forward to not having any other social engagements until Christmas after this. But that just now is a really busy time for me in terms of YouTube, and it's, you know, having all these social engagements and everything, nice as it is, it kind of interferes with what I'm trying to do, and that makes me grumpy because I like to be really organised. So just now obviously we've got Inktober, and I don't know how many of you are following along or having a go for yourself if it's something that you've never done. But I'm really enjoying it, and it's a lot less frantic this year because I am a lot more organised. You know, I just kind of like learned some lessons from last year. So that's going pretty well, but I've got that in addition to my normal videos. But once this month's over and we're into November, I have to start filming videos for Cavemas. So yeah, it's a pretty busy time. Okay, those look all right, and they seem to fit in quite well with this one too. So we'll go with that. We'll move over. I'm trying to keep out this shard of light here as well. It's early in the morning that I'm filming this, and the sun comes in the cave window, but I much prefer working in natural light to artificial light, so you guys are just going to have to deal. Okay, these look really pretty. So I think because we've skipped out this purple iris, we'll deliberately try and include it in these ones, so that we're not getting that sort of sameness, you know, and everything's all uniform, because we want this picture to be vibrant, but we want it to be really interesting as well. So again, the same thing, I'm just going to treat these as, I was going to say I'm going to treat these all just as flowers, but this looks suspiciously like a leaf to me. So we'll maybe make a special case for this part here on the side, but we'll take all these as little buds and trumpety type flowers. So again, just with a peony, really light hand. I know I say that a lot, but I'm trying to remember as well that as we go along, and you know, as the cave starts to age, we keep picking up new subscribers, and although my regular viewers will have heard me say these things a million times, there's a lot of people who haven't, so I have to make sure that everybody knows what I'm doing. That's kind of the idea behind this. So there we go. I'm going to come over here a wee bit out of the bright sunlight. It will pass in about 20 minutes. It'll be fine. It'll be okay. Yeah. So, because the other thing I was thinking about as well was, you know, thinking about Cavemas and all the rest of it. Last year when I did Cavemas, I only had about 300 subscribers, and that's one of those kind of benchmarks. Right, this is the plum now, and I'm just going to put a very light layer of that down over the hatched areas, and I can build it up from there. Yeah, it's a nice benchmark, and it makes you realise how far things have come on, and you know, you get a bit of a sense of achievement out of it, because we've gone from 300 this time last year to nearly 2,500. So you know, that makes me really happy. It's awesome. So yeah, thanks for being here, guys. It's really cool. Right, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this purple iris. I think we'll put it in at the base. This needs to be sharpened, and maybe run it down one side. So just follow that line like this, and then I might put a little bit at the tips. That would look quite cute, I think. And again, I'm not pressing particularly hard here because what I want to do is I want to go back to the peony and blend this purple iris in with the peony so that it's quite smooth, because it looks quite patchy just now. Yeah, that's looking okay. I quite like this purple iris because although it is purple, it's actually quite delicate. It fits in quite nicely with our pinkier colours here. There we are, that's looking okay. Right, I'm going to go to the plum, not the peony. And I'm really going to work into these hatched areas now and blend in with that purple iris. So a couple of layers, medium pressure, and just really blend them together. And the same in this sort of hatched area in here. I can press a little bit harder in there. And I'm just going to join that in because it's the back side of the flower, you know, it's not the foreground. I'm going to use the same, I'm going to use the plum for that. Now I do notice that the purple iris really is disappearing, so we'll go back in there, see if we can. Wow, that is so subtle, and you don't really see that unless you're looking for it, but I kind of like that actually. Yeah. Okay, back with my peony now. I'm just going to finish off this one flower just to see what it looks like. Now again, the trick is these pencils on this paper, the trick is light layers. So rather than going heavy-handed to try and get that vibrant colour in one fell swoop, keep a light hand and just keep going back over, because the paper will start to struggle, and if you've mashed all the tooth down on your first heavy-handed go round, you're not going to get much more down on the paper. So there we go, that's better. Hi Woo! Little Jack Russell's up, she's been sleeping. She's usually the last one up. On account of her age, we'll let her off. Are you awake, baby girl? Yes, Woo's definitely a lady of leisure these days. But then again, if I was her age, I would be too, because she's closer to 15 than 14 now, and she's doing okay. I'm just popping a tiny bit of this plum in next to the purple iris to make this transition a bit easier. There we go. I'll just blend that in now. These pencils do blend really well though, I like them. I really do. I'm hoping that Arteza will bring out some open stock pretty soon though, because I'm getting nervous already about this, because some of my pencils I'm like halfway down them. I'm thinking to myself, if they don't start bringing out some open stock, I'm going to have to buy another tin, and I'm not really up for doing that if I'm perfectly honest. Okay, they're looking pretty good. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to continue on and do these ones in the same fashion. So there we go, some plum in there, just another little layer of that. And then I'm going to take this purple iris again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having a bit of a quieter time of things over the next month or so in the run up to the festive period. There's been a huge change in the weather now here as well. Like we definitely know we're in the autumn. There's absolutely no doubt in it. So one of the things that I need to do is I need to get my my chimney cleaned out, because we have an open fire and we do tend to use it. We don't actually use it when it's really, really cold, because it only heats one room in the house. So you do that, but if you have the central heating on as well, the whole house is just like an oven. It just bakes. So we actually tend to use the fire more in the sort of cooler time, so in the spring and in the autumn, and then when the proper cold winter comes in, we just have the heating on in the house. So yeah, it's when you're at the stage like just now, when you get to the evening time and you think, oh, it's a bit chilly, and it's like, okay, go and set the fire. So I really like having the fire on. I find it really relaxing. And the dogs like it as well. Jock's not too keen, but he's a big pansy anyway, and he doesn't like the crackling noises, whereas Pip and Woo, they absolutely love it because they realise that it's warm and they sit in front of it. It's really cute. They sit together now. They're kind of firm friends. Pip has realised that Jock is for playing with and Woo is for cuddling into. So when her and the little dog get settled, they're so cute together, and you find them in all sorts of configurations. You know, sometimes Pip's got her head on top of Woo, and sometimes Woo's like curled in at Pip's belly. It's really cute, and I'm glad that they've got to that point, because I was kind of worried with Woo being a lot older. I just thought that she maybe wouldn't tolerate a full size collie that's full of beans all the time. But she's quite happy. Once Pip's settled down, she's quite happy to spend time with her. So that's really nice. That's worked out really well. But Woo has always been a very accommodating dog, which can be quite unusual for Jack Russells. But she is very mild-mannered for a Jack Russell, and we tell that to everybody, really. She's not a typical Jack Russell. She's actually very soft-natured. And she doesn't bark a lot. She barks when someone comes to the door. But apart from that, she's not a yappy dog either. She's a good wee girl. So, but we're at the stage now where we're just trying to keep her happy and comfy because, see, she's pretty elderly now. And she's slowed down a lot, but she still likes to go out and run about and chase the ball. It's just in a sort of, on a shorter time frame than it used to be. Okay, they look pretty good. Let's bump over here a wee bit. Now, interesting. I think with these ones, I think we will go, I'm going to go with Plum and not use the peony because I just want some variation between these top colours. So let's have a go at that. Now I'm just trying to decide whether these ones up here are of the same variety as down here, and I don't think so. And also I would like to use the kind of pinky purple mix down here rather than these pinks at the top, so that this one will tie in with this kind of idea over here. So I'm going to use Plum as my main colour. I always find this really off-putting because it looks really pink, and it is really pink, but it's plum. So let's have, I'm trying to, again, this is me mapping out. I need to differentiate leaves and petals just for my own sanity. So just a light layer. And these definitely look like petals, they don't look like leaves. So we'll go with that. And there's one there, and there's one here. I'm not even being remotely careful here, so it's just so that I can get my eye in. And so make that sort of differentiation between what's what and what's overlapping with what. And I just find that that's something that's really helpful for me personally. But I am keeping it really light, as I say, because the other thing as well is if you keep it really light, if you change your mind or you realise that you've coloured something that's not supposed to be, you know, that could be a leaf, well, that's debatable. You know, it gives you the opportunity to be able to erase things without too much hassle, whereas if you've used a heavier hand, you know what it's like trying to erase coloured pencil, it doesn't always go well. Yep, I think that's them. I think I'm pretty happy that that's what we're going for. Okay, so let's introduce the purple iris here and have it in the darker areas. So everything that's tucked in somewhere, that's where you want your darkest colour, so that's where we're going to go with this. There we go, in there, a wee bit in there. It's Softly Softly Catchy Monkey. If it doesn't look like much to begin with, you do not panic, because we are working in light layers. And there you go, there's the purple starting to pick up now, just in this little bit here. Yeah, so my job has been very difficult these last few days because I'm quite hoarse. I spend most of my time on the phone to farmers, and a few of them have actually said to me this week, "Are you alright?" Yes, I'm fine. And I'm quite frustrated by it because I don't actually feel ill in any way, shape or form. Like I feel absolutely fine, other than the fact I've got a really raspy throat, and I keep saying to people it sounds a lot worse than it is. I very rarely get sick though, that's the thing, and I think it's just because, number one, being on a farm and working with animals, you're exposed to so many bugs. Like, you're exposed to so much in bacteria and everything, and I do think it generally boosts your immune system. But not only that, I'm not in contact with the general public very often, so the chances of me picking things up are obviously greatly reduced. I've always had a pretty good immune system anyway. Anytime I do get sick, I'm very rarely, you know, out the game for more than a day or so. So I did have years ago, and some of you'll probably remember this, there was a really bad strain of swine flu going about, and I did get that, and I got it on Boxing Day, and I have never felt flu. And to me that's flu. I was so uncomfortable that even lying down was painful. Like, I couldn't get comfortable because I was aching like right in my bones. So it didn't matter whether I was lying down, standing up, sitting, you know, everything was painful. And that was not nice, and I was out for about 4 days with that before I was actually able to get up and about and go and do stuff. And that's really the only time that I can remember where I've been really sick from, you know, like a flu-y, coldy, buggy type thing. That was not nice though, I did not like that. But yeah, generally I'm pretty good. But see, Mr. Jem, he was out for a couple of days, and he's very, very run down. You know, he works a lot of hours, and I don't think his immune system's quite as good as it used to be, but he needs to slow down, and I'm always lecturing him and giving him into trouble for doing too much and not giving himself time to recover. So, but some people are naturally, you know, naturally have better immune systems than others, and I have a friend who, she's just one of these people that picks up everything. Every single cough and sneeze and sniffle that's going, she will get it, and she's always sick. And there's nothing she can do about it, it's just the person that she is. She says to me, like, jokingly, she blames her crappy gene pool. So, but yeah, I'm pretty lucky. Right, I've kind of gone to a flicky motion here. I just feel as if it's given it more texture, so I'm basically just imitating Kerby's lines here with this purple iris. See, because these pencils blend so well, it's really easy to blend them out if you make them too harsh. And we go back to my plum now. Get these on the go. And the plum seems to sit really nicely over the top of the purple iris as well. You know, they seem to blend well together and mix well together. My stomach's rumbling. I haven't had any breakfast yet. It's too early for breakfast. I'm not a person that can eat when I get up in the morning. I can just about stomach a cup of tea, and when I'm out running I force myself to eat a banana more or less as soon as I get up. That's quite important. But I can't sit and have like a full breakfast when I get up. I've never been able to do it. And when I used to go out and take milk samples from farms, I was getting up at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I tried so many times to eat something before I went out, because if you don't, you're absolutely ravenous by the time you're finished, because sometimes you're going to 3 and 4 hour milkings, and you end up painfully hungry. And I tried every which way to try and get some food into my stomach in the mornings when I got up, and it just gave me really, really, really sore stomachs. So I try to just have something small when I wake, and then a bit later on. So like by about 9:30, I normally get up about 6 o'clock. Normally by 9:30, 10 o'clock, that's when I have a proper breakfast, or a second breakfast if I've had a banana. And that seems to work a bit better for me. But it's just, I just can't do it. And I laugh at Mr. Jem because he literally opens his eyes, puts his clothes on, and then starts eating. And he has 2 slices of toast and a bowl of cereal and a cup of tea. And this is all within like 15 minutes of actually opening his eyes. And I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous, I wish I could do that. I just can't. It's funny how we're all different. Okay, we've got this little one up in the corner here now. Get a little bit of that purple iris in. And then back to the plum. I love how vibrant these colours are. They make me happy. I'm going to fill in more or less that entire petal. I know I've been leaving little white bits, which is a characteristic of my colouring in general. But I really wanted to make these pop out as much as possible. I feel that these ones maybe look a little bit more washed out next to that one I've just done, so I'm just going to go over and put another layer in. I can see that the purple iris is starting to get quite muddy though, and I don't want that to be the case, so I'll try and avoid it if I can. Okay guys, I took a little pit stop there just to give the sun time to move around. You can see it's like up over here now. Went and did some chores and came back. Yeah, so I was just having a little look at these flowers down the side here. Now I'm going to try and zoom out without ruining things a little bit so that you can see them all. Okay, we're good. Oh, getting the hang of this. I'll be a professional one day, I promise. What I'm noticing is that these flowers all seem to be of the same variety, just in different stages of bloom. And that kind of scuppers my my whole idea about having this sort of pink down to purple. But what I think we'll do is we'll keep this one really pink. And these ones down the bottom, these bigger ones, will have them in the purple shade. So this one will just kind of be like a little outlier, which is fine. And these kind of droplet shaped trumpety ones will have in the pinky purple hybrid that we've done with the pansy type ones over here. And that should tie it all in quite nicely. So we'll give that a bash and see how it goes. Now let's get zoomed back in a little bit again. Adjust my focus. There we go. I wish I'd thought about doing the manual focus on this a lot earlier. Now that I've got the hang of the camera, I know how to do it. It's pretty good. Okay, so let's have a wee go at this one up here. This little Kerby dude. So we're going to stick with our pinky colours. So again, peony and plum. You're pip rattling about. She's hilarious. She's absolutely full of beans this morning. But she usually is first thing in the morning. She's full of the joys of spring, even though it's autumn. Okay, so same principle applies here. I'll have a quick sharpen. And we'll just pop a very light layer of the peony down here. We'll just get that down. I was just laughing there. I was reading some of your comments from one of the earlier videos. As I said, I'm filming this in advance. And so someone had made a comment, I think it was actually on social media, about me putting a song in their head. The prompt for day 9 for Inktober was a swing, and I drew an orangutan in a tire swing having a good old time to himself, and Cal commented and said that I've put the Jungle Book song in her head, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, and she's like, no, that's good, you know, it brings back good memories. Mr. Jem started singing the theme tune to Earthworm Jim the other day, and I have still got it in my head and I hate him for it. Every time I turn around I'm like dum 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 dum, I'm like, oh, stop singing it. It's just, it's so annoying. Apparently, right, this is plum now. Apparently, if you have a song stuck in your head, if you either listen to it all the way through, you know, like get it up on YouTube or any of your streaming services, or you sing it right through to the end if you know the words, apparently that's supposed to help get it out your head. I have tried that theory and it didn't work for me. So, there you go. I don't know whether that's just an old wives' tale. Okay, so the plum's going down on our hatched areas, and I'm just going to start building that up now. Sticking to these hatched areas just for now. And we can always branch out from there if that's what we want to do. So, I have things that I want to talk about, but I can't really talk about them yet. There's some changes coming. There's changes coming to YouTube which some of you will know about, but I'm not going to talk about that just now. I want to address that in a separate video. Back to my peony, but there's going to be some changes here at the cave as well, which they're not quite ready yet, so I don't want to talk about them, but I kind of want to talk about them. So you can stay tuned in the coming month or so and I'll talk a little bit more about those things, but I'm busy doing stuff with that, so it's yeah, I know I'm always busy, and I do say that I'm always busy, and I am a busy person, but I am extra busy just now. Okay, so I'm just blending these together. Now down here at the base of this flower, I want this this peony to be really vibrant, so I'm going to spend some time just building up some layers in here. Again, with this paper and these pencils in combination, you can't just go in with a heavy hand and whack down a layer of colour, because they just that's not going to jive well. So you need to be patient and take your time. Most of you that colour in coloured pencil regularly will probably be quite patient with your pencils anyway, because it is the slowest medium that you can possibly use. It's very time consuming, but it's actually my favourite. And it always has been, and it probably always will be. I'm really enjoying painting and trying different paints and techniques and things, and I'm really surprised at that because I didn't think it would be something that I enjoy. I am really enjoying it, but I recently finished a dog portrait, and it took me about, I think it was about 20, maybe 25 hours, I don't know, and it's painstaking because you're putting every single pencil flick is a hair in the you know, in their fur, and I just love it. I don't know why. I absolutely don't know why. There's no rhyme nor reason to it, but I enjoy drawing in graphite, I really do. Okay, I'll put a wee bit more here and maybe in here as well. So you can see how lovely and rich that colour looks, and that is exactly the same pencil that is up here. So it pays to be patient and build those layers in really slowly. And at the end of the day, if this is a hobby for you, then you should be happy to take your time over it and get a good result. Bring this up a bit more here. Okay, so just going back to the plum now, and I'm going to just darken these parts down a wee bit more. Make these a wee bit more obvious, I think. Here we go. Yes, I'm hoping that Mama Gem and I get up for our balloon ride tomorrow. I'm going to try and take some pictures if it's nice and clear, which the forecast is looking pretty good. I'm going to try and take some photographs, and I thought it might be nice to do a kind of like simple watercolour tutorial using one of the photographs that I take when I'm up in the balloon. So we'll see how that goes and see what I come back with. But I will, if we do get going, I will share some of that footage with you, and we'll see if Mama Gem agrees to being filmed as well, and you can say hello to her too. I haven't actually asked her about it, so we'll see. Right, okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to jump down to the bottom now and just move this out the way, because we've got this kind of trio of flowers down here, and I'm going to keep these in the purples. So let me just grab them. That is the amethyst, the lavender and the lilac. Slap that down. Oh, haphazard. We're so rebellious. We'll tuck that in there. Okay, so that's the kind of background one. So I'm going to skip out the amethyst on this top one again, and just keeping that sort of idea of this sort of gradient feel, and we'll keep the amethyst for further down because it's darker. So we'll just jump to the lavender now and get it into those hatched areas. Again, I'm going to keep a really light hand. I'm kind of going to do what I did with the pinks up here down here with the purples. That's kind of my thinking. So we'll pop a wee bit of that in there. That down. And Jock's just let out a massive sigh. Oh, it's such a hard life. It's funny. Right, let's get some of this lilac in here. I'm doing what I did before as well. I'm kind of leaving like a tiny little white line around the outside. And I've said this before, it's just a creative choice that I make. I quite like a little bit of the white of the paper showing through. And I know that's not to everyone's liking and everyone has a different style, but that's just the way I like it. If not, obviously just carry on and keep filling it in. That's entirely up to you. It's one of the things I love about colouring. You can give 10 people the same pencils in the same picture and you will have 10 completely different finished images. And I just think that's awesome. Because people often think that colouring is very limited, but it's actually not. Okay, so let's work with the lavender on this bottom section and get this nice and dark by building up our layers. It is really tempting to start pressing hard when you're doing this, and it's something that I struggled with for a while. If you are struggling with that, hold your pencil further back, because that then it makes you struggle to press down really hard and you can just work away. That's a really good hint. If you struggle with controlling your pencil pressure, that is a really good thing to do to help you sort of control it a little bit better. When I started colouring, I had a death grip on my pencils, and now bearing in mind that my left hand sustained quite a severe injury at one point, I was getting really bad hand cramps, but it wasn't doing anything for my colouring either. And I tried really hard to you know, concentrate on that and let up on that pressure and loosen my grip. And as a result, I think I've kind of gone too much the other way. I think I'm too light-handed and my colours are too pale sometimes. But it's definitely better than it was. Right, so I'm just going to blend this in with a little bit of this lavender now. And again, I want this to be quite rich in here, so I'm going to build up some layers. I do like pale desaturated colours though, and that kind of shows in my artwork as well. If you've seen any of my coloured artwork, it's usually quite sort of delicate and pale. I very rarely go for vivid brash colours, I just think it's calming and pleasing to the eye, and I find it quite aesthetically pleasing. So there we go, that's looking quite nice in there. So we kind of need this to match, so because right now this doesn't really look as if it's part of the same flower, but I want to graduate that out and fade it out to this sort of more delicate colour here. So I'm just going to gently sort of feather in some lines here, and we can have it quite vibrant at the base and then kind of leave this part alone. I'll maybe pop in a tiny bit more of the lavender as well, just to kind of darken that down. There we go, that's looking pretty good. And then we can just blend that out here, join it all up. So this is a bit wishy-washy up here, put some more in there. And then I'm just going to go back in with my lavender and darken down these shaded areas. There we go. Oh, that's pretty. It's so pretty. Right, next one down, so lilac. Now by leaving this little white edge that I like to leave, that's going to give us some nice contrast between this petal and the one that's tucked in behind it. So this is a point where my creative preferences are advantageous. But what I do want to do is I don't want it to look washed out, so I'm going to make sure that I've got plenty of layers down on this left hand edge so that you can still see that it is a really, you know, vibrant, pretty flower. There we go. And just keep going back over that and back over it. Yeah. Maybe bring it up a little bit further. I need to sharpen my pen. So when you're working in areas like this, you do really need to have a, you know, quite a considerable point on your pencil. So let's try and bring this up a bit further and just have a tiny sliver of white. There we go, that's better. Yeah. Now I'm going to do the same with this one, because these are kind of like folded over the top, so if there's any sort of light source coming even remotely from, you know, from the top side, then it's going to bounce off the top parts of these flowers. So we'll go with that theory anyway. Just build up these layers quite gradually. So yes, the birthday party that I'm going to, which I'll have been to, Mr. Jem has a lot of siblings. This is his oldest sister and it is her 50th birthday. So she is having it at the venue where we got married. I'm kind of looking forward to going back down because I haven't been since I got married, so it'll be quite nice to go back to the scene of the crime. And it'll be nice to see it, because I imagine all the trees would be changing by now. It's a kind of like a country house, so I'm actually quite looking forward to it, and I find it quite inspirational there for drawing and painting as well. And because I'm doing in Inktober, I will be taking some art supplies with me, but I don't know how much time I'm going to get to draw or paint. Hopefully quite a lot. So I'm looking forward to it, but as I said, she has decided on a fancy dress theme of the 80s, and it's probably my most hated decade. I was born in the 80s, and I just find nothing appealing about it at all. So we had a sort of think about costumes and things, and Mr. Jem and I are going as Mario and Luigi, as in the Super Mario Brothers, which is hilarious because Mr. Jem is really tall and thin and I'm really short and dumpy, so we think we've picked a good theme for that. But my costume, I've actually got two costumes, because my main costume is an inflatable costume, and it's basically Mario riding on Yoshi, so your legs belong to Yoshi and they've got like dummy legs that hang over the side that are supposed to be Mario's leg, and then obviously your top half is Mario. But it's made of like a kind of like tent material, and I am going to sweat buckets in it. I'm just going to take the lavender here and pop a little bit in here like as a shadow, and I'm just going to follow the line art around the bottom here. So it is hilarious, it's really funny when it's on, but my goodness, it's warm. So I've got a pair of like really loose linen dungarees as well to put on when I get too hot and too sweaty, so I have thought it through, but it is very, very funny. But yeah, so that's going to be fun. That's going to be an experience. But I hate fancy dress, I really do. But I'm sure we'll have a good time. There will be a lot of people there that, obviously family that I know anyway, but there'll be people there which are Mr. Jem's sisters, like, are friends who I haven't met. So that'll be quite nice as well. But it is a whole weekend affair. But when Mr. Jem's family get together, they tend to do it over a couple of days, because they very rarely are all of the siblings in one place at one time, because they're all spread out. Like, the furthest away is in Bahrain, and we're the furthest north, up here in the sort of top part of Scotland. So it's nice that you've got a couple of days. It's not just, you're not just landing at this party and, you know, you've got to get on with it. You've got the whole weekend to kind of get to know people, and that's why we did the same with our wedding last year. And it was a chance for everyone to get to know each other before the big day, so there was, you know, it was less awkward for people. So okay, I think I'm going to sneak in a wee bit of this amethyst right at the bottom here. Oh, this doesn't look very good. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I thought we had to... Oh no. To remedy this. God damn it. I'm sharpening and nothing's happening. Crisis averted. I haven't had too much problems in terms of breakages with these Arteza pencils, but I have had one or two, and this amethyst is one of them. So I don't know whether it's maybe been dropped. Again, being on the softer side, it's going to be more prone to that sort of thing. So, but no, not like to Prismacolor scale problems. But yeah, you've got to remember they are a softer pencil, so you need to kind of treat them a bit more carefully. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to do. Less is more. So I'll go back to my lavender now and just start to bring this up. Now I want this to go all the way up, because these top parts of the petals are folded over. It is going to be darker under there, but I'm going to use the lilac to do this. So same principle as before, light layers, but just keep going back over it. I need to sharpen this up as well. I'm pleased to report here at the cave today as well, it's a lovely day outside. The sun is shining. It's been quite damp the last week or so, which is typical autumn weather for us. That's nothing, you know, nothing fancy about that. But today it's one of those kind of like crisper days where it's, I mean, it's chilly outside, it is chilly, but it's the sun is shining and it's nice and it's not too windy. So it's days like this that I really enjoy taking my dogs out and maybe going down to the pond, or, you know, just kind of like going out round the farm a little bit more than I normally would do. The days where it's really damp and windy, I tend to take them into an empty field and throw about a tennis ball for them, you know, maybe walk around the circumference of a couple of fields. Because what we have just now is, because harvest's over, we have stubble fields. So those are the fields where the crop has been grown and it's been harvested. And it's literally stubble sticking out the ground. So that's great for the dogs, especially for the little one, because she's only short. You know, she's not fighting her way through like swaths and swaths of grass, trying to sort of get on. So that's quite good. But days like today, I take them out and we tend to walk rather than run. There we go. How does that look? What do we think to that, guys? That's quite delicate, quite pretty, quite nice. Okay, now down to this one at the bottom. I'm quite excited about this flower. Look at the size of it, it's huge! And we're gonna utilise all three pencils as much as possible here. So lightest colour, let's go. Wang it down, we'll make it pretty. One of the things I keep meaning to do with this camera that I haven't done yet is the viewfinder screen is obviously angled towards me so that I can see what's going on and make sure things are in focus, but I haven't figured out how to set the duration timer when it's recording. So I'm sitting here yakking away, colouring in, and I have no idea how long I've actually been doing this for. So it's something that I really need to do. Like, I need to make a point of figuring out how to do it, because this video could be 40 minutes long, it could be an hour and 40 minutes. It's not very good. Okay, down to the lavender now. So let's have the lavender in the middle here and all these lovely little spots. These lovely flicky lines. We'll get some flicky lines on the go. some in here as well. And down here. Okay, so we're going to work together with the lilac and the lavender now just to do the head of the flower, and then we can concentrate down here afterwards. So just above where I put down the lavender, I'll start in with the lilac here. And I'm not going to go petal by petal, but I kind of am, if you know what I mean. Easier to work in sections sometimes. So again, I want to keep that tiny white edge right up at the top here. And it doesn't have to be even, you know, it doesn't have to be uniform, just as long as it's there. We'll get this really rich colour going again. So I'm just going to jump between the two because I want this to be as even as possible and get them to blend quite nicely together. Which, to be fair, with the Arteza pencils isn't a hardship. It's pretty easy to get them to blend in together. But it's just getting enough layers down so it's got that nice, thick, rich feel to it, which is kind of what I wanted to go for over the course of this picture. One of the things I would quite like to do, probably into the start of next year, is spend a little bit more time colouring. This year's kind of been overtaken by learning to watercolour, and I haven't coloured as much as I have previously, and I have so many lovely books just sitting on a shelf that I would really like to get my teeth into. So I think next year I'll probably do a bit more colouring than I've done this year. That would be nice. Again, it's finding time for these things though. In a perfect world I wouldn't have to work. I could just sit and draw and colour all day. That would be awesome. There we go. Kind of getting there now. I'm going to bring this up a little bit further because that looks almost as if it's tucked in behind there a little bit. Maybe. Maybe not. There we go, that's starting to brighten up a lot now. Now I'm going to take the colour right to the edge down here just because it's a bit further down. There we go. Yeah, this is matching the one on the other side quite well, so I'm quite happy with that. Let's move up here then. Pop this in here. Flicky flicky. Stop for a lime sip. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well is that if you haven't already made a suggestion for the next coffee fund videos, we have £70 and that is purely in donations from you guys, so it is your money. Some of you have taken things from the stash and some of you have just donated, which is awesome. So if there is something in particular you would like me to spend that money on and there's something that you want to see in a video, leave me a comment down below, or you can go over to the community tab. I do have a post there asking for suggestions on what you would like the money spent on. So I've not had a lot of response this time to it, so I would really appreciate it if you could leave me your creative ideas, because it's very much a team effort, it's a community effort. And we want as many suggestions as possible, and once we've got a few popular ones we can then do what we usually do. We'll take a vote on it and we'll get going with that. There probably won't be any coffee videos until into November. Just with Inktober and things, I don't really have a huge amount of time to focus on something like that, but we shall get that going in November for sure. So it's really important that I get your input and your feedback. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments section under here. That would be absolutely fabulous. £70 is a reasonable sum of money, you know, so we could get something quite interesting on the go if that's what you're after. Here we go. I did have amazing fun with the gouache, so I'm not gonna lie, that was really good fun. Really good fun. It's something that I'll definitely use again and use more of. I have an idea for another gouache painting, but it's not quite come to fruition yet, so I've been kind of working away in that, just, you know, just like doodling things, because it's going to be a kind of landscapey type picture, but it needs a bit more work yet before I put it down in paint. So I'm leaving a little white patch here, again just thinking about maybe where the light might be coming from, although I don't have a dedicated light source for this picture. I still wanted to have maybe an inkling that there was some light shining from somewhere. Again, depending on the picture, I don't always have to have a light source, like I don't always opt to have an obvious light source, but in some pictures it makes it it makes the picture, if you see what I'm saying. This is not one of those pictures because this is too busy. Too much going on in this one. Alright. I actually quite like these colours together, they look quite nice. I sound surprised by that. I don't know why. What am I doing? Lilac. Lilac. Get that in there. Tuck it in there. Tuck it in there. Leave that little white edge, and get a little bit more lavender in there as well. Yeah, so the upshot of having this cold but slightly drier weather is that my hand isn't as stiff as it was last week. It was super stiff and I was dropping things left, right and centre. And there was actually a day, I can't remember what day it was, but my hand was actually sore, and it was to the point where I couldn't draw anything, like holding a pencil was really painful. So for that Inktober prompt, I just watered down some drawing ink and got like a really thick handled paintbrush, so that I wasn't having, you know, like, so my motor skills, my hand wasn't having to grip as tight, and I just kind of like splooshed some ink around on a piece of paper. But that's the first day in ages that it's been that bad. I don't normally have that many problems with it, but it'd been damp for a couple of days, and that day in particular was just, it was, the Scottish word we would use for it is dreich. It was just really grey and wet and miserable, and my hand was confirming that for me. So so today my hand feels okay. When it's cold like this, you know, if it's nippy or bitter outside, as long as I keep my hands warm, it's fine. It's absolutely no problem at all. So I actually prefer this, and I don't mind the cold weather at all. I actually quite like the cold weather. As long as I keep my hand warm, it's absolutely fine. So yeah. Right, let's get this nice and deep down here as well. Get some layers in. Ooh, look at that. There's a wee bit too much white going on up here for my liking. There we go. Okay, last petal. I'm going to bring that right down again. Maybe it's kind of almost tucked in behind that other petal. Maybe almost, but not quite. But artistic license, guys. Do what you feel with this, you know. I know some of you are just here to listen, which is absolutely fine. Some of you are here just for a wee bit of inspiration, so, you know. There we go. That looks okay. Can live with that. Bring a wee bit up there. Okay, so down in here we're going to go with the amethyst, and I'm just going to get stuck straight in with the amethyst. And I want to have that kind of like a shadow, so follow that line round there a wee bit. Again, not pressing too hard just yet. And the same under there. Oh, I went over the lines there, oh no. And then follow the shading down. I'll do the same on this bit as well. And then I can go back to this lavender and start to blend this in. That's looking quite good. My throat is getting really scratchy now. I think I'm going to have to call it a do. I can't imagine we'd be far off an hour here, maybe slightly over, just going by like my internal clock. I don't really know for sure until I start editing this down, because there are parts that I edit out, like the part where I was shouting at the dogs earlier, which you'll have no idea about because I'll have cut it out. So yeah, just on a gauge, I think we must be, I would say we're probably slightly over an hour. So yeah, I think we'll just call it quits there. That seems like a good place to stop. Now I'll just get zoomed out so that we can see this properly. That's not far enough, Jem. There we go. Ha! Oh, we're looking so pretty. Okay, so what does that leave us then in terms of flowers? We've got this weird trumpety thing here. And we've got a couple of buds down the bottom, and then we've got these kind of droplet hangy type ones here. So I think what we'll do is next time we'll get those finished off, and then we'll start on the greenery. And the shades of green are really going to complement what's going on and going to pop out as well. So that sounds like a plan. We shall do that, and then that'll maybe only leave one more video to pick up all the itty bitty bits, but we can see how we get on. Okay guys, I want to say thank you very much. As always, I really appreciate you being here and coming to hang out, even if it's just to listen and not watch. That doesn't matter to me one little bit. I hope you're enjoying this, and I hope you're enjoying the way that it's turning out. I'm having a really good time with these Arteza pencils. I was really surprised, but I am absolutely enjoying them. And we can get a little bit more of this done next time in the cave. So thank you so much for watching. Again, once more, if you could leave a suggestion for the next coffee fund in the comments, I would really appreciate it. The more ideas we've got, the better. So let's go and do other things now. I can start my day and look after my throat, and we shall see you next time back in the cave. Bye for now, everyone.